Good afternoon. Welcome back to United TV for latest Manchester United news. And this news is coming from, starting with the Northeast, Newcastle interested in BALEBA, and Manchester United might start getting interested in BALEBA again if this price keeps going down. So we don't know how much Brighton would have accepted last year, if they would have even accepted any sort of price. But I think most people were thinking that the valuation of Brighton was going to be significantly higher than what we're looking at today. But apparently, the deal could be available for about 65 million pounds. At that price, is Belieber a good deal? That would make him actually 20 million pounds cheaper than Matheus Fernandes, 35 million pounds cheaper than Tonali, and maybe 35 million pounds less than what we thought he might be, says Yardi as well. He has got some injury issues. There was a knock last season. He's got an ankle injury at the moment, but apparently, according to like a few people online and a few sources, apparently the injury is not too bad. So again, this might be something that if Man United are looking to do, obviously the medical is going to have to be pretty stringent given what we saw with Edison. But no, 65 million could be the price. The other story as well is one where it's a bit maybe it's a bit less likely, a bit under the radar a little bit in terms of it's a player people have talked about, people like, but apparently Man United making another inquiry for Monaco midfielder Camera. That's one that we'll have to see if any more news comes out regarding that one. But he's definitely a player actually that a few people watching the channel and watching other streams on different channels have been mentioning and highlighting as a player worth looking at. So a few players there we can look at. I think people are also expecting maybe Manchester United will be looking at Kone. But the reason why, and we're going to be looking at this in a bit more detail as well, the reason why we're looking at Belieber is apparently Newcastle United, I'm not going to say they're entering the race, but they do need to sign midfielders. They've got a big hole in their squad after Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes left. They're apparently interested in Belieber, and maybe that's why we're seeing like a sensible price being put on Belieber. And maybe this is something where, again, it does say that they're not active because of the ankle injury, but for me, this could be like the emergence of, do you remember Matheus Fernandes, Manchester United in pole position, and then we see Spurs enter late. So this could be significant. That I think at the moment the difference in this situation is, and I'll jump into live chat in a second, but the difference between this situation and Matheus Fernandes is Carlos Baleba has wanted Manchester United, has been pushing for a move from Man United, it seems. And if Newcastle wants him, it'd be interesting to see what the reaction is from Belieber. If Man United don't make any sort of efforts to sign him, would he look at a Newcastle move to leave Brighton? That's one where if he does go to Newcastle, I would probably think, right, that's he's not going to join Man United ever because if he joins Newcastle United for say 65 million, the next time he leaves Newcastle United, I don't think he's going to be costing less than like 80, 90, 100 million pounds. And I don't think Man United would want to pay that. So this is what I'm looking at thinking it might be now or never with like a Belieber deal. So let me go through a few of the comments as well. So let me know what you think. I did put a poll in the chat, and the question mark, the question really is going to be: should Man United sign Belieber for 65 million? We went through this transfer so much last season on Red Devil United, and the price then people would have paid 100 plus million because they were desperate for midfielder. We've got two midfielders in. We got Tielemans. We got Santos. I think with a lot of people, the question is going to be like, what's the biggest? What's the best you can get for the final part of the jigsaw? So Bilal says you're a big fan of Belieber, but you're going to be pissed off if we go back from after, say, around a year. Yeah, I think with this one, it's going to be, yeah, it does feel a bit like we kind of gone around a circle as well. And Man United almost actually looking at letting someone else negotiate the deal, then come back involved. I don't know. Al says buy Camera, forget Belieber, and say trust me, Camera is better. Um, yeah, I'm not going to doubt your view. Like, I mean, Belieber had a tough season last season. The question I'd say is like, how much is like Camera going to cost? Are Man United, are Man United just what's the word? Are we just focusing too much on the Premier League? Like, I know this is something that we've been talking about, but are we focusing too much on the Premier League and looking at just players who are in that league as well? Almax, so we'll go for that comment. Be up to you, Mr. Chris. Good to see you, Chris. He says, why do we need another midfielder? An awful lot of you think Mason Mount is good enough for us. I mean, if Mason Mount was made of something a bit more robust, we could have a conversation, couldn't we? But at the moment, I don't know. I've seen a lot more durable players than Mason Mount, and actually, I was thinking like who are the players we had in the past? Like Lewis Saha was a far better player than Mason Mount, but injury issues stopped him. And I think with Mason Mount, I couldn't even say I think I haven't got enough to judge him on. Like at Manchester United, has he ever been a player where you think like game after game after game, you think what a great player? He's looked good in a few games, like but he's just nowhere near robust enough to play enough games. And the fact he got a knock in pre-season, and then they tried to like pretend it wasn't much of a knock, and he was missing for the next game. No, Mason Mount for me, I think he plays like 40% of the games, maybe, but you can't rely on him. Fan Euphoria, big up to you in the chat, says Kone or Camera or Wharton. And so I believe will be last choice if those are unsuccessful. So based on that, I'd say based on like a few bits of news coming out yesterday, I think Kone might be like possibly one of Man United's top targets. And I'm not sure about Wharton. They did like Wharton like a year ago. And I think Wharton might be more expensive. Kone's probably going to be similar to Belieber Price. I think Camera is difficult to guess how much he's going to cost, but he might be slightly cheaper. But I'd imagine that, yeah, it could easily be a situation where if Man United are looking at Kone or maybe Camera possibly, if they can't get a much cheaper deal, maybe they think Belieber because he's played in the Premier League, they might go for him instead. But we'll see. I mean, last year we signed Sesko, and Sesko had never played in the Premier League despite getting Mbeumo and Cunha. So maybe that's a Camera could be a good option. And maybe this one is one where the fact Newcastle are interested is the first time we've seen like a sensible price put on Belieber. I think that's why this is a bit more of an interesting story today. So I'll go through all the comments and chats. Let me know what you think regarding anything regarding this one. I will just say as well, I saw this morning and it's difficult to react to someone I don't know personally, but it is a sad loss to the Manchester United fan community, podcasting, streaming community. And if you used to watch Red Devil United, Webby joined one show about a year ago, and we were talking about transfers. So I have spoken to Webby on that one stream, and that he gave up his time to speak to other people, and he just seemed like a good guy. So it's just sad news, isn't it? I don't think anyone knew actually. Well, I didn't know personally him, so I didn't know about his illness. I just wondered why he'd stepped away from Webby O'Neill recently. But no, very sad loss, and yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? I think it was just when you saw that, it was just a sad thing to read, and when I found out this morning. So we're gonna try and cover say the news as best we can because a lot of it, as I've been saying for a few weeks, a lot of it is a little bit difficult to kind of interpret regarding whether it's accurate. I think Newcastle's interest in Belieber does seem to be fairly real, and it does make sense because they've got to sign some players in. And then does that in fact? I don't think it makes. I'll say this: I don't think Newcastle's interest makes Man United speed up, but it does give Belieber a very difficult choice to make if Newcastle are serious. So if you want to leave Brighton, then the question would be, right, if you leave Brighton, is Newcastle going to be a big upgrade? You'd say, right, well, probably you're going to get a pay rise. Probably you're going to be in a team that over the next few years, they're going to be able to spend a lot of money. Newcastle genuinely have finished above Brighton. I don't think they did it last season. So you'd say maybe it is a better move. Does it mean you're going to get then a better club later on? I think if Belieber signs a 5-year contract at Newcastle, you only do that if you're prepared to spend like another 5 years at Newcastle. So I'd imagine it might be an option, but it's a difficult one. Welcome, Greg, to the chat. Good to see you. So also, I'll go through a few of the comments. I saw Pete in the chat saying that he's driving, but is this deal back on? So let me address this one as well and say, so Howard says, Belieber again, so big up, but he's driving. So can't say too much about this one. I think with this one, Howard, that is this back on? I have no idea. Like, I have no idea if it's back on. I think all we're seeing now is that it's back in the news because Newcastle are interested. And to be honest, I think about maybe about 3 months ago, there was a story about Liverpool interested. But there's no doubt that I think for most people looking at Belieber, he is a good Premier League football player. The question would be, like, given if it was going to cost 80, 90 million pounds, which I'm pretty sure, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that when we're talking about Matheus Fernandes and Alex Scott, then I think Belieber was put into the same sort of price point as that. And when you're looking at, that sort of amount of money, then most people looked at Believe and go, actually, no, maybe Alex Scott's a better option, or maybe that we prefer Matheus Fernandes. I think you can look at Adam Wharton and go, actually, Wharton, very good defensively. I think Wharton's got a bit more on the ball about him. I think in terms of like passing, when Man United bought Tielemans, I'm starting to think that that means that Wharton's maybe less likely. I mean, you got lots of line breaking passes and switches to play that Tielemans can bring. So I think Man United might be looking at someone a bit more energetic. So that's what I'm thinking regarding that one. It's a bit difficult, isn't it, to say whether it's going to happen. So I'll go through a few of the comments. United side died. Big up to you. And says Newcastle can take him as a maybe for a chance. Other clubs buy injury prone players rather than this. Are we going to be? I suppose this is a good question, actually. Do we consider Carlos Baleba? Is he becoming like an injury prone player? Like younger players, I think when they start getting a couple of injuries, and maybe last season, I don't think Brighton were particularly transparent about the injury issues with Belieber. That I mean, a lot of us looked at Belieber. He kept getting substituted after 60 minutes, and it wasn't necessarily an indication of tactical formation change or any sort of thing that Belieber was necessarily doing. But he was having his minutes managed. It did suggest some sort of underlying injury and recovery from injury. And I'm just wondering whether that Brighton do have quite a poor record of players coming through and injuries kind of not being disclosed, and we're seeing like a few, like I think Evan Ferguson's the one where he's got some serious ankle injuries as well. And like, for me, it does make me a little bit suspicious, not of Belieber as such, but it makes me a bit suspicious of the way Brighton are handling injury players and thinking, maybe that's a bit of a red flag for some people. Let's see. Um, so never trust seagulls, says Stephanie. Yeah, we could get that. We could get that printed. I think with this one, the question is, all the players that have come through Brighton and the transfer fees that people have paid, have any of them ever been worth it? And I think maybe the best player coming through was probably Caicedo. You could make an argument that Cucurella is a good football player, but the price that he cost, I think, considering how much those two players cost, I don't think Chelsea got like 100 and whatever it is, like 70 million pounds worth of players from those two. So I think the prices of players coming through Brighton for me is a bit too expensive. But 65 million, I'll say this, 65 million is certainly moving in the right direction. Maybe if we can get the price down a bit more, I think it might seem a bit more of a say it's still a risk, isn't it? So, but a bit more of a viable one as well. And Chris is also saying that, yeah, this is one as well that I think with Belieber, it was pretty much known that when Man United said, "Look, we're interested," or some journalists said that, it was pretty well known that Belieber was very interested, agreed terms, so terms would not be a problem, and it wouldn't be an issue at all if Man United and Brighton agree on a price. The question mark's going to be is Belieber somebody like Cunha or an Mbeumo that, like, I think Mbeumo was pretty professional. He said, "Look, I want to join Man United, but if it doesn't work out, I'm happy to stay at Brentford." I mean, it was he was doing very well at Brentford at the time as well. And I think Cunha, when it was obvious that he was going to go with the release clause, he chose Manchester United. And I think Belieber, it's good that he chose Man United, but I can see Chris's point that it depends. Is Belieber looking at Man United as like the end game? Does he just want to be a Man United player, or does he just want the next move? I mean, at the moment, I don't see Belieber as the sort of player that can really use Man United as a stepping stone. I think he's a good player, but I don't see him as the sort of player that's going to be like £100 million in a couple of years. But you never know. You never know. I mean, maybe he's looking at Newcastle as a stepping stone, possibly as well. Almac saying, "Can you explain why Believer was terrible last season?" I don't think he was as terrible as people say. I just don't think he was as good as the season prior to that. So my indication is that Believer had some underlying injury. Also, I mean, Brighton did play him alongside different midfielders. You could see actually defensively very good, very similar numbers to Casemiro in terms of like duels, percentage, winning the ball back, etc. So some aspects of the game very strong in. I think the kind of the ball carrying, the running that we saw 2 years ago, we didn't see last season. But I think it's down to injury, Al, which again isn't a good answer because that again is like a different red flag, isn't it? So yeah, I'm thinking regarding this one as well. Big up to you, Andy. I went outside earlier and I was doing like some gardening and other things outside. It was ridiculously hot, and I'm talking like about this is like several hours earlier. I think it's going to be peak temperature in probably like 2 or 3 p.m. It's going to be particularly hot. I'm expecting where I live. I'm expecting a record temperature for August. So there will be no evening stream tonight because this room will be somewhat of a sweatshop at that point in time, and it'll be way too hot to do anything. But it is way too hot for scaffolding unless you're like walking on like molten metal. But yeah, hopefully, Andy, hopefully you like find some way of like not being too hot. So 65 million, you think it's a good price? Then yeah, for people, I think people have different view on this one. Um, Has Believer played for Brighton this pre-season? I don't actually know off the top of my head, but I think he missed. He got an ankle injury recently, so I'm assuming he got one game in, having not gone to the World Cup. So I'd have thought so, but I don't know without like googling and trying to find out. But if anyone knows, yeah, please let us know in the chat. Um, be it to you, Gaz. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Um, I'll just say, I'll just say, let's just keep the chat friendly as possible for a Man United channel. Um, and for people that joined in, yeah, we did mention as well sad news regarding Webby. And I mean, I can't say what more than I said before that just a good guy and a good Man United fan. And actually, one of the people on streams that had no agenda, just generally spoke how he saw it and will be sadly missed. Big up to you, Greg. Hope you're doing well. Um, Yeah, I'm just I'll be neutral. I'll be Switzerland in this argument. To be honest, at the moment, Mason Mount's got some injury issues. We know that. The question mark I think we believe it is he gradually being compared with the same sort of thing? I hate the kind of like the issue regarding younger players of injuries. I mean, we're not going to get full disclosure on anything medical anyway, so it's very difficult to discuss it. But I think all you can say is if there is an injury issue, Manchester United didn't sign Edison because of that. So if there is like some underlying issue, then hopefully a deal won't happen. So I don't think Man United will sign an injury-prone player. That's my thoughts on this, but we'll have to see. So let me go into the comments as well. Also, in terms of this one, if you're looking at, say, Carlos Baleba, 65 million, does anybody have, because this is one where I don't want to just guess and put a number on it, but if you're looking at Camera at Monaco, how much would he cost? I'm making an assumption here that based on him playing for Monaco in the French league, he's going to be a bit cheaper for sure. I'm not sure how much Sangar cost Brentford, but if you remember Sangari leaving Lens, he must have been. It wasn't disclosed, but I think he was a record fee for Brentford. So I'd be imagining that you might be looking at something similar, so high forties, like 50-ish maybe. But with Man United and other clubs potentially being interested, I'd be surprised actually, given this player how good he is. I would be surprised if like Newcastle aren't also looking at this player. So I think there would be significant interest, and I think that that would push the price up. So at this point in time, because it's like the 13th of August, we probably said this a lot of times. Like we said this quite a few times. It's the second half of August nearly, and in a few days' time, we're all kind of getting ready for one game against Ruben Amorim's AC Milan. Then we're looking forward to the start of the Premier League. So things are moving quite quickly. If you start looking at Camera, you start looking at say Angela Stiller, I think Kone, all these players that are potentially still available. None of them are going to get any cheaper because you're going to be reducing the amount of time that players have got to replace the teams have got to replace them. So I think at the moment, let's say United side I said, I think he's going to be more expensive. Yeah, I honestly I think that's going to be the case. And it's not necessarily that he's going to be a better player, but we're starting to like move towards the end of the transfer window, aren't we? And I'm not going to say it's a panic buy, but what it does mean is if Monaco have got an idea in their mind of right, this player might leave, we're going to replace him with this player, then you have to either get those players in rapidly or you're just going to charge a lot of money. So I don't think it's going to be the case of like doing deals at the end of the season just costs a bit more, doesn't it? Just costs a lot more. So in terms of this one, so useful information from Al saying that Monaco rejected a bid of about £42 million, 50 million euros for Camera. Say this is from Crystal Palace. So I guess with Crystal Palace, not necessarily exactly the same player, but they're going to be looking at having to replace maybe Wharton in the window as well. So then this for me is an interesting one that I mean Crystal Palace must have a bit of money, decent European campaign, decent Premier League standings recently, but also they're getting a bit of money in from players leaving. But in terms of this one, say £42 million, I believe that Brentford signing the midfielder they got was it must have been like high 40s, whatever is the record transfer fee for Brentford, it was that. So again, this one might end up being, I think it's going to cost over 50 million. If they rejected a bid for 42, I think they're going to have to go back with a bit more money. So maybe it's going to be, it could definitely be the same sort of price as maybe like the amount of money we spent on Fred possibly. But I'm thinking at this moment in time, he's probably going to cost more than Santos. That's £50 million. So your question might be Camera for £50 million or Belieber for 65, and then it's like which do you think's the best option? And with Manchester United, who do you think they're going to go for? Like, are they going to take a chance on a player that's not in the Premier League, or are they going to be? Because they do seem to be Man United do seem to be a little bit obsessed with Premier League players. And the other options, like for left back, we've got apart from Lewis Hall, we're looking at Robinson. And in terms of like midfield options, all the other players I've listed, like Alex Scott, Wharton. I mean, there's a lot of good quality players in the Premier League, but I do think that you can get some better value. And if Man United are looking at trying to get better value, why not go down that route as well? So let's go for it. Welcome, Ian says, doesn't interest you. Just another, say, what you're saying is another mercenary player. I think it depends on this one. Like, I think with this one, like, I wouldn't say Cunha as a mercenary. I think Cunha was looking at wanting to play for Man United as a fan. So I think like, for me, it's really difficult. Does, does Belieber want Man United because of the pay rise associated with it? I mean, if he joins Newcastle, and again, this will be something which, again, if you want to see what believers' motivations are, I think we knew Matheus Fernandes as soon as Spurs put the money on the table. Matheus Fernandes was like bang straight to Spurs. If he wanted to go to Man United, he could have made it happen. If you're looking at Belieber and Newcastle, which at the moment apparently Newcastle are cooling interest a little bit, and the reason why they're cooling interest is because of the ankle injury. But if you believe things online, the ankle injury is not that severe and maybe Newcastle move in. It could be that with Newcastle, they know that Man United agreed terms with Belieber a year ago. They also know that they tried to get Cunha. They were interested in Buemo, I believe. They tried to get Benjamin Sesko. I think for Newcastle, like the last thing Newcastle want to do is put an offer on the table, have Brighton agree to it, and then Belieber just say, no, I want Man United, and Man United go in with like a lower offer, and Brighton have got no choice really. So now, if Brighton are prepared to sell him for 65 million, my question would be, maybe we can get him for 60. You know, if Brighton are going to take 65 million, Belieber's not going to be going up in price. Like Brighton want to cash in. So maybe, and actually, let's say 60, maybe Man United could look at it and go, actually, we've got camera available for maybe 50 million pounds and maybe push the price down a little bit more. I mean, there is going to be a limit and there will be other options for Belieber if Man United don't want him. But I think with like Newcastle, I don't think you can push the price up if the player's not interested. Like the only reason why Elliot Anderson went for big money was pretty much because Man City came in with a valuation Newcastle wanted, and Anderson didn't really care where he went. I don't think. I think he just went to the club that's probably highest up the league that wanted him, and and I think the same could be said with Tonali. I think Tonali just wanted to leave, and going to Spurs, I mean, you get a big pay rise. That's about it. You're not necessarily guaranteed Champions League football. So there are definitely. I'll say this to Ian and other people. There are definitely a lot of mercenaries in the Premier League because there's a lot of money there. So if you're going to get players that are leaving different leagues to come to England, there is a reason. It's the same reason that players left the Premier League to join sort of Serie A in the late 80s, early 90s. The only difference, I suppose, in the late 80s and the early 90s was English clubs were banned from Europe. So people like Ian Rush, Mark Hughes, Gary Lineker, etc., a lot of those players jumped ship because they wanted to play in the European Cup. So I can understand it a bit more then. I think at the moment, though, it's definitely a financial thing, isn't it? And so let's have a look at a few of the chats as well. So Camera's a goal threat, Belieber's not. I will agree with this one actually that I can't remember Belieber being like Belieber's more of like a ball carrier and good defensively, like is very good defensively. I think with Camera, yeah, again, Al, it might depend on what Man United want. If Manchester United prioritise someone that's good on the defensive end, yeah, maybe they go for Belieber. And I think it depends on is Santos going to be much of a goal threat? I've no idea. I mean, Tillerman should be a goal threat, but we'll have to see how much of a threat. But no, that's I do like kind of like that logic. I do like to have a bit of goal threat across the midfield, and that's something that that's something that I do like to see in the club. And so I'll say this that I've got quite a lot of faith in the general playing staff at the moment. Like I think Man United, like we finished third in the Premier League last season, and you don't finish third in the Premier League by having loads of rubbish players. But it is going to be different next season. So I'm not really pushing for Galacticos. I'm pushing for like a bit more depth. I just think there's not enough options in the squad to try and manage a Premier League campaign and a Champions League campaign. And if Belieber can bring a bit of depth, I don't really mind it. If I had to guess, or no, if I had to pick a player, I quite like Alex Scott. I quite like Belieber's shown himself to be decent, but not in the more recent future. So, but it's a tricky one, isn't it? And last night we were talking to a couple of people on the channel, and I think JR and Helgi big fans of Kone. So there are a few options out there that aren't going to necessarily break the bank. So yeah, the heat is crazy at the moment. Bilal saying the ownership will eventually piss off our manager. Do you think with this one as well? Michael Carrick seems to be pretty relaxed, pretty measured. I mean, Michael Carrick's not going to rock the boat, is he? And the question is going to be, I suppose, is maybe the difference between people in the chat that are negative, people that are a bit more positive, etc. I think the difference could be is that how much do you think Michael Carrick's going to do a good job? And for me, you look at the team and go, and Buemo looks like he's having a great preseason. Bruno Fernandes will still be good. Cunha will still be good. And Benjamin Sesko looks like he's coming back a bit bulked up. Hopefully, we see him against AC Milan. But he's obviously got an injury issue as well, which is a bit of a concern. And the defense is pretty much the same defense as last season. So probably not good enough long term, but in the short term, it's not exactly semi-professional. So And actually, we get to play 38 games with a good goalkeeper. So, when I was watching the game last night, not a lot to go on, but me looked like a better option than Binder and Onana just from that 45 minutes and penalty shootout. So, I think that there is a few more positives, but the issue is always going to be the depth of the squad. Like the depth of the squad is always going to be a bit of an issue as well. So I'll go through this one. Yardi's getting a bit of stick in the chat today for positivity. So Yardi's saying United have got a good team. Carrick knows what he's doing. Why are people putting the team down? You don't understand that. I think people just have different views, don't they? And because I think one thing that's interesting is that when I've done a lot of streams on this channel and the previous channel, is sometimes people say I'm too positive. Sometimes people say I'm too negative. I think it just depends on different days, different topics. If we're doing a topic where Manchester United have actually agreed a deal to get too many, if that actually happened and Man United were going to sign him, or if Man United had landed Buwadi or Elliot Anderson, there would be lots of positivity in the chat. But also, like Buwadi, too many, we still have no idea how they're going to perform. And it could be that some of these signings you think are going to be excellent maybe they don't work out. I mean, I think everyone's going to have a different view on this one. I said quite a lot of times that Elliot Anderson for me was a top target. I couldn't really see it not working out, but disappointed we didn't get him. And then with Belieber, if Man United signed Belieber, then I would be positive about the signing because I think okay, it's another player at Manchester United. Let's see how he does. But it wouldn't necessarily be my top choice. In the same way that when we signed Lamans as goalkeeper, I had no idea how it's going to work out. I was massively happy with what happened last season. And to be honest, I think he probably exceeded most people's expectations. I mean, no one knows 100% how he's going to do. And I thought he might be a good goalkeeper in the long term, but I think the short term was like pretty impressive. But again, another season. Let's see how he kicks on. Big up to you, Randy. Hope you're doing well. It's been a little while. Hope you're good. Um, So looking at this one, Stephanie says United will get more depth. They will plummet to new depths if Carrick isn't back properly. I'll say this one. I've seen them finish 15th, which I never thought I'd see happen after kind of the Alex Ferguson era. I don't think we can drop much more than that. So I would be still expecting I'm still expecting a Champions League finish if the transfer window closes now. I just think it'll be more difficult. But I do think we'll get depth. The question is that I have no idea what we're going to get as depth. Are we going to be getting Lewis Hall? Are we going to get that guy that's just got his team promoted to La Liga? Are we going to be buying I have no idea. Is Harry Mass going to play? Maybe. I thought he actually looked okay yesterday, but still probably a backup at the moment. Do we need a defender? Saying in terms of this one. Also, the centre back that came in as well, I thought he did really well. Like Dan, I can't remember his surname now, but I think is it Dan Armour? He looked really good as well. So there's definitely a few people as well. Sesko not playing for me is yes, Sesko is like a bit of a disappointment as well. Yeah, if you're talking about Player FC, I think Player FC is like a weird thing, isn't it? Where for me, I don't know. I think with this one that everyone's going to have like a favorite player. Generally, I probably pick the players that are playing the best as the ones I like to watch. So, like for me, Bruno Fernandes was obviously a machine last season. I do really like Cunha. I think the players that put effort in as well, obviously going to be highlighted. But I think with this one, like I know who you're talking about, Chris. There's a few players that you think, like, how do they get in the team week in, week out? And that's what you need. If you want to make sure that players don't get a free ride, you need to have some sensible options. Like you can't say, oh, let's push this player from the academy in and hope he does better than a professional. You've got to get a player in to give him significant issue. Also, with this one, I think having like Mbeumo to play striker is one thing. I think Cunha could do that as well. But Benjamin Sesko, I think we need another striker at the club. Like surely Gaz says not much to be positive about. We all said, yeah, I said we needed like six players minimum for this one. I would say at the moment we got two. I'm not going to really count Darlow and Thompson, although I'll say that's like they could be included in the eight, but we needed like at least. I would say we needed six players that were going to be on the bench or starting, like those sort of players. So for me, it was like you replace Casemiro, you replace Collier, you replace Agate, then you need to get a backup striker, backup left back, and probably a centre back. That's what I was thinking. But it was a lot to do, and I don't think we're really, I don't think we're really getting close to that at the moment. Yeah, Thompson did actually look okay, didn't he? He looked all right. I mean, Thompson could be quite similar to Aiden Heaven, where I'm guessing next season might be like limited opportunities with the idea that let's see what he can do in the future. And maybe it's going to be, this is for me, it's good future planning, but it doesn't necessarily help us too much in the next sort of like 12 to 18 months, does it? Welcome, Sky. Hope you're good. And but I was saying this, club turns fans negative. I think it can have that effect. I think the internet can have that effect as well, and certain YouTube communities maybe possibly as well. Um, but Beatrice, John, hope you're doing well. I think for people watching, there won't be an evening an evening stream tonight because it's going to be so hot. So we're going to try and cover all the news in this stream. So if you've got any thoughts or questions, again, this is your opportunity. This is one channel where I'll try and read out as many comments as possible. And Salia says we need Belieber, no physicality on our midfield currently. And I guess the question is going to be like how do you think Man United did last night? How do you think we did against Atletico Madrid? How do you think we did against something the previous game as well? And how are we going to get on versus Ruben Amorim's AC Milan on Saturday? That's going to be a key one where I think at the moment, against AC Milan, Man United should be starting a first team. We should be seeing like, Cunha, hopefully Sesko, Bruno Fernandes. Is the midfield going to be Tielemans plus Santos? It doesn't look like Koyumeni is actually available at the moment. And the question is going to be, I think Belieber fits into midfield quite well. Like, I think he fits into that group and would be a decent one as well. Ian says, I hate the direction that the owners are taking the club. I think, yeah, with this one saying zero ambition and say spending on, I think with this one, like I think Man United are trying to invest a bit in youth, but the English players at the moment just really expensive as well. Um, Neil and Beochi Neil for coming on the stream last night. Neil says United do have a good team, but could be better if they sign more players. I think this is probably my stance as well. I think Man United have got some good players. I'm not saying we got 11 good player or 11 players good enough. We got some good players. The question is going to be, are we going to be better than last season? And at the moment, I think we're maybe similar, which now for some people being similar is like a sign that Man United have got some stability. I think for me, I just want Man United to be improving year on year. Like when Man United won the league, we used to still improve. We used to still be looking at the next signings to try and maintain our position. And we're seeing like Arsenal won the league. They're strengthening. Like they're getting Bruno Guimaraes in. They're looking at other options to try and strengthen their team. And for Man United, we need to be trying to do this because we need to be. Even if the owners think we're going to win the title next season, you've got to do some deals to get there to start with, haven't you? You've got to make sure you can't suddenly go straight there from where we are at the moment. Stephanie says if you were in charge, you would have reintroduced numbers 1 to 11, no names on the back, and the badge and the name on the front is all that's needed, and that would focus minds on overpaid, overhyped. Interesting one. I think with this one, I think, yeah, I guess that would be an interesting dynamic. It's definitely much more of a squad game now, isn't it, rather than like a game it used to be. But maybe then we wouldn't even have to talk about who's got the number seven shirt anymore, which should be, yeah. I would say as well, you did make me laugh last night, Neil, with some of the things you said about Cake. I mean, Cake wasn't there to defend himself, but maybe next time, maybe next time. And actually, if Chris is still in the chat, then I'd have to like bookmark it or something because I think you might enjoy the calling show last night because I think Neil might have said a few things that you were thinking at the same time. Cody says, as as a third midfielder, Kone, Berg, or Belieber, who have you got for this one? So this is tricky, isn't it? Um, Out of these three, then I think Man United that we keep being linked to Berg. I don't know if we're going to sign him, but I would imagine that Kone would work better. Like, I think Kone would work better than Berg because I think just a bit more mobile. But no, people have said no. Berg's got a good top speed. The question is going to be, I think it's like recovery from sprint of things. I just think with this one, then I think a third midfielder for me. If I had to choose now out of those three, I'd probably go for Kone. I think he might be a good fit. But again, Manchester United are going to have, it's definitely a few things to say about this one as well. Big up to you, Vril. No, definitely. Everyone's welcome to the call-in shows. There should be. I'm not around tomorrow. I will be away on Friday, but I think there should be a call-in show after the AC Milan match, which for me is going to be of particular interest based on everything that happened a year ago. So that might be an interesting one. So we'll have to see what happens with the AC Milan match. But I'm hoping with Man United we're going to see like a full team out of these ones. Randy says, believe it out those three for you. And a big up to you. Uh, so, Light Spirit Bodies. I know you got another name, but it escapes me at the moment. No, but big up to you saying Kone easily for that one. Yeah, but when we were talking about this one last night, and I think we were talking about midfielders after we did the Leeds like calling show, and Helgi is a massive fan of Kone. I have to say that now I don't watch much of the Italian league, but no, he looked quite good in the World Cup. I know the World Cup for me. When I see players doing well in the World Cup, I always think, okay, it's a bit different in international football. And Casemiro and looked okay in some matches, and he looked a bit average in other matches. But I think sometimes players can just look a bit different in international matches. So I was just, yeah, I was. It was on the tip of my tongue, but I'm really bad with names, which is why I probably have a lot of prompts on my screen to remind me of players' names. But no, big up to you. Hope you're doing well. And you're also welcome. I think you joined one call-in show, but yeah, get involved if you want to. I don't, I don't know what. I'm not going to say anything about Ruben Amorim because it kind of angers people in the chat if we mention it. But so very positive about the season. I just don't want any free ride players. Do you know what I was thinking about the season? Well, I think YouTube is going to be one of these communities where if you watch like about 10 different channels, you're probably going to get a lot of people that say like a lot more negative things than I say, or maybe even slightly more positive things than I say. And in terms of like the prediction of the season, I think Michael Carrick between January and the summer, we probably got the best results of any team, right? I'm not going to then extrapolate it and say, okay, that means we're going to win the league, right? It's a very different situation because of I'm sure Michael Carrick's going to be expecting to have a little bit longer stay in the League Cup and the FA Cup than we did last season. And the Champions League for me is going to be maybe something we're looking forward to because we haven't been in that competition in its current format. But when you look at the season, I don't know. It's going to be. I think it's going to be tough, but I still think we got a good team and like a lot of good players as well. Yeah, YouTube is a bit bizarre as well. Is Bawadi still available? Says Randy. So I think it might be. It gets the feeling like he's. I think he's a Man City player, isn't he? I don't know. Have we seen Here We Go from Fabrizio? I think with this one, I get the feeling that it's like pretty much a done deal, Randy. So I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Lights. Tunku says minimum top five, ideally top four. I think it's going to be pretty close, isn't it? Andy's disagrees, saying you don't think Coney's that great. If you're talking about Helgi did again. I don't want to talk about too many people individually, but no, he did want Tonali as well. Now, people have different views. I wanted to get Elliot Anderson and Buardi. That was my shout, but I did pick the most expensive players available probably. So, I mean, I was just aiming a bit too high, I think. Greg says a busy schedule feels easier when you play better, and we are. I guess with this one, if Manchester United set up in an effective style, which I think they can do, I think Michael Carrick and his coaches, I think they organise the team quite well, then maybe with this one, the key is going to be can he do what Ferguson did, and can he maybe switch like one or two players per game, not do like a massive change. Do you remember when Chelsea used to have like a weekend team and a Thursday team in the I think it's when Chelsea were in the Conference Cup or something. So when they're in the Conference Cup that they won, they used to have like almost a different team in the Premier League. We're not going to do that. So I think it's going to be a bit more on Michael Carrick to organise the team quite well. And then maybe we're going to see like one or two opportunities for academy players, which I don't mind. I just I don't want academy players thrown in for the sake of it. But if you can use them sensibly over the season, I'm absolutely down for that one. No, Cake's a good guy. He's just a bit angry with what things are happening at the moment. Belieber is better than Kone, says Randy. Varel says, what about Camera? Keeps getting mentioned as an option. At this point in time, maybe we're going to do a stream where we once we get a bit more information, maybe it's going to be like an obvious one of like one or two players. But at the moment, it seems that there's a lot of people. Again, everyone's got a favourite, haven't they? If you've got Kone, you've got Camera, Alex Scott's still available, Wharton's still available, and then you put other players into the mix. There's still quite a lot of players in there, so this does feel like one window where it's the 13th of August. There's still quite a few options as well. And what's my expectations for this season from Bilal? My expectation from this season is qualifications for Champions League football. I think we'll still be in the top five. Champions League, we'll get through the group stage, and then it very much depends on who you get drawn against. And I think whoever we get drawn against, it'll still be a tough game, but it might depend on luck of the draw. FA Cup, League Cup. Interestingly, with this one, I think with the FA Cup, then Manchester United last season with Carrick, we managed to beat Arsenal, we managed to beat City, Liverpool. I think with a domestic cup, then you never know. Like we could be in. There's no reason why we can't win a domestic trophy. We've shown we can beat every. This isn't like Man United a few years ago, where we struggled to beat top teams and we had to be a bit lucky. I thought we were the better team against Liverpool, and we controlled the game against Man City. I mean, those two teams might be upgraded, but I look at it and think, why not? Why not lift another trophy? I think we can do that. But the thing is, hopefully we stay in these competitions a bit longer this one. No, exactly. I don't mind Cake having like high standards. That's absolutely fine. So I think we saw Here We Go for Guardi to Man City by Romano as well, but I can't recall exactly when it was. There's been so much information being put out there. Um, and Tunky says what you've noticed is we're not playing just one way. Sometimes possession, sometimes counterattacks, and so you love the fluidity and adaptability. And I think with Michael Carrick last season, you could see from January onwards that we he went right and go right. He knows the players that know what he needs straight away. So we did see Maguire come back in, and we saw reliance on certain players. Michael Carrick's now got a bit of time to work with the coaches over pre-season, and maybe this is what we're seeing, Tunku. Maybe we're going to be seeing Man United in a bit of a different light. So maybe we can do this. Now maybe we can play like a few different ways, which is going to be key, isn't it? Because the way we play against Man City or Arsenal might not be the way we have to play against teams near the bottom of the league, and it certainly won't be. But also, are we going to be hitting teams on the break or on the counter attack? I don't think we should necessarily be a counter attacking team, but I think it's foolish to ignore something we're very good at. When you've got someone like Bruno Fernandes and you've got runners like Cunha and Buemo, there's the counter attack is definitely something Man United are strong at. So again, if you're going to be looking at possession based, I think we've also got players that can break teams down. But I get the feeling that United have got more than one way to beat a team, which I think is a positive. So So Ian says Belieber, yeah, not great last season. You don't think he's worth more than 35, 40 million pounds, which so I think with this one, it's very difficult to value a player, isn't it? It's very difficult to value a football player and how much he's going to be worth. If he's fully fit, which is a big if, then he's worth the valuation. But yeah, United's quarterfinals of Champions League. I don't see why we can't do. Like, I try to think, how far did Newcastle get last season? We could be doing something like that, or maybe an extra game beyond that. Who knows? Say, he didn't like Bruno Fernandes yesterday. Keeps being selfish, trying to do stuff on his own. I think with this one, Brill, I think Bruno Fernandes. You can see Bruno Fernandes. It's like his first game back, isn't it? And he looked a bit rusty. He took a few shots. I think with this one, then Bruno Fernandes doesn't normally do this. This is like it's not really something that's characteristic of Bruno. And I get the feeling that it's a preseason match, and I think sometimes that for Bruno Fernandes, he'll step up when the time's right. And you can see that usually in a Premier League match last season, he'd usually be just as often prioritising setting up other players, and I think he'll revert to that when the season starts. I think last yesterday was just an indication of it's just pre-season. I think for fans it can be serious or not, but I think for some of the players, for Bruno Fernandes, it's about getting a bit, getting more minutes into his legs. But no, I agree with this one. When Thompson's like getting good positions, then I think for me as a fan, it'd be good if he was completely locked in, wouldn't it? Because if he can find Thompson and maybe Thompson's got a chance there, that would be that would be true, a good thing. Bilal says you trust the team, you just don't trust the ownership. I hear you, Bilal. I mean, to be honest, that's most people. I think I don't think people trust the ownership, but we do trust a lot of the coaching staff and team based on what we've seen, and we'll have to see what happens with Godden's one. Yeah, I've yet to meet someone I trust that has said they think that they at the moment. I think with Ineos, and you have to judge them by their actions. And at the moment, we finished eighth and 15th and third, so that's kind of what we got to go on at the moment. So I would say it's very difficult to be overly positive, but the Glazers are certainly horrendous for this club. So I'm just going to be open-minded about what the next season brings. I'm optimistic the playing staff and coaching staff will do well, but I'm not so confident about Ineos. We'll have to see what they do. And big up to you, Mr. B. Good to see you in the chat. Sanya says, with the current signings in the Premier League, we need to match their physical ability. And say Mainu Tielemans will struggle against the Arsenal midfield. And say get Belieber, pair him with Mainu for what, like £60 million, you're saying? Then maybe this is one of the things that do we have enough physicality in our team that I suppose we're like Mainu's good in possession, out of possession, not quite so effective. But I think in terms of like bringing the ball out from defence, I think Mainu can definitely do that job on the ball. And I think again, Tielemans very good in possession. I would say we got Mbuemo, Cunha that do add a bit more bite in the attack in terms of like high press, but also tracking back. We get that as well. But in terms of this one, I do think that physicality is important. In defence, we had like Maguire's obviously pretty physical and Aiden Heaven. But I think in terms of this one, you do look at it and go, it looked like Benjamin Sesko bulked up a bit. So I get the feeling with Man United that some of the younger players will probably bulk up a little bit more. But I think when you're looking at it, it feels like Man United might need a bit more physicality, particularly also when you're looking at set pieces as well. And I'm guessing that the Premier League might clamp down a bit on the nonsense at corners we saw last season, but we'll have to see if that's the case. If anyone's got any sort of final questions today, we'll be live for a little bit longer, but I just want to say with the right support, Kobe's a world beater. Kobe's like 21, isn't he? So I'll just say with Kobe, I think Kobe's a very good player. Should have probably played in the World Cup, but didn't get selected. But I think he'll have a good season. The only issue I've got with Kobe Manu is he does seem to be picking up injuries, and again, hopefully that's just something that he works through and then doesn't actually have a problem. But it's like a little thing in the back of my mind. I know he played a lot of football and has played quite a lot of football for a young age, but yeah. Cody says Anderson, Fernandez are the ones that got away. Baleba's the one that won't go away. I mean, I think Baleba's sat there waving the Man United flag, isn't he? Thinking, "Come and get me." And Manchester United, though, the problem for Baleba is, yeah, if you sign a 5-year contract at Brighton, you got to be prepared to play for Brighton for 5 years or however long it was he signed. And it's the same if you go to Chelsea. If you sign a 7, 8 year contract, you got to expect that there's no guarantee teams are going to be able to buy you out. So no, I agree. I mean, Mathis Flanders jumps ship every year, doesn't he? So you think the management makes recruitment more difficult than it is? I think Wilcox and Brada are incompetent. So there's so much talent in Europe that we ignore. I mean, last year we got Lamans, didn't we? We did find some talent. Do you think the problem is like you've got like Wilcox, you got Barada, and you got Jim Radcliffe. Then you've also got the Glazers on top of that that potentially are making the final call or making some of the financial decisions. It's almost like there's too many people involved in this point in time. Like it's not just one person; it's like a committee, and you've got the data team, you've got the scouts, you've got all these people involved as well.
It's like a
Clavel, we haven't
committee.
mentioned as well. It just feels like maybe there's too many people involved. It makes the process a bit longer, particularly if they disagree on what's the best option as well. And for people watching as well, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Please also don't forget to click the like if you've been watching as well, and help us like get a bit more traction on YouTube. There isn't going to be a live stream tonight, but there will be something covering. We will be covering the game. Maybe we'll do something late Friday, but I'm not sure. Or maybe we'll do something early Saturday. We go on this one. Say 65 million is the sort of deal that appeals to Ineos, Cody. And learn, do you know what? Actually, if we could do this, I mean, I don't think I don't think there's any way in the world that Brighton go for it. But we've been like loaning out players, like we loaned out Rashford, we loaned out, who else we loaned out? We loaned out Sancho, we loaned out Rasmus Højlund, who helped the team get Champions League qualification. And we've loaned out a couple of other players I've forgotten about as well. I think Malas is one of them. We keep doing this, don't we? Why don't we actually take advantage of like a loan? Like whether it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be Belieber. I can't see, I honestly cannot see Brighton doing that because they want to cash in. But if we could do that deal, that would be perfect, wouldn't it? Like the loan market is something that we should be looking to do as well. And so why don't we look at the loan market, says Bilal, and I agree, Bilal. Why don't we do that? It's like ridiculous. Believe a swap deal with Rashford. If we're going to do a swap deal with Rashford, then I don't know what business that Newcastle have done, but if we're going to do any sort of swap deal, then Rashford for Lewis Hall would be the obvious one. But I can't imagine, like, for me, there's no way that Newcastle are going to pay Rashford's salary. So I don't think we can do a swap deal regarding him as well. Who don't we want at the club? To be honest, that probably is different for every single player. I'd say Xerxes needs to leave. And at the moment, well, he's probably the one we can get the most money for, I'd imagine. He's not on a big transfer fee. He scored yesterday. I mean, he scored yesterday, so maybe Xerxes is worth an extra fiver. Who knows? I mean, I think Xerxes like could be an effective player in a different league as well. I say we sold someone today 750 for Ethan Williams, and I guess we're putting in the standard clauses, buyback clause, 50% sell-on clause. I guess with this one, like if you sell him for like almost nothing, then 50% sell-on clause could be a little bit of money. Who knows in the future? Honestly, don't know what to think. Freebies, I don't know about freebies. Sebastian's saying, as much as I can see Rashford not being liked, currently the best winger we have. We might find out quite soon what Michael Carrick thinks about this one as well. So that will be, to be honest, like I think most things are going to divide Man United fans. If results are good, no one's going to care, are they? Also, big up to Bilal for joining the calling show. So a lot of people in the calling show last night. if you've got time, please check it out. It was quite a fun stream, quite long, but the first kind of 60 minutes is going to be the majority of callers. Dallo, Xerxes, Maguire, Agate, Mount, Rashford, you want out, says Bilal. The issue is going to be, I just don't think there's any way Man United gets enough replacements in. So you're probably going to see Xerxes leave. Agate's going nowhere after the injury. Maguire's going nowhere because of other injuries as well. Mason Mount, I mean, he's not going to go anywhere either, is he? And I think you might be disappointed. Well, I think you might need to be disappointed next season because I think the players you list, I don't think there's going to be many leaving the club, unfortunately. So you're going to have to see those players quite a lot more. Maybe next year, I think in like 12 months' time, you could see something different. Like you could see people move on then, but I think for the foreseeable future, yeah, you're not going to see anything like that. We do need a clear out. So Xerxes must be our best dribbler. Like, so there's nothing wrong with like Xerxes' touch, is there? But I think Xerxes, I don't know. For me, I think he's just too slow. But that's thing is though, like with Xerxes, I think Xerxes should be sold. But I don't want to say anything nasty about Xerxes because clearly he tries. And I think, and actually, it was a good finish yesterday. It's just that in a Premier League season, he's just going to get like 3 goals, and it's just not going to be enough as well. And so Xerxes settling in better. I don't know. Xerxes has been here 2 years. Like Cody, like should be settled in by now. But yeah, no. Randy says if Rashford stays, I'll support him. It's going to be yeah, maybe actually when we do the next one. I don't think he zones out. I think that's just I think that's just him. Because we're going to be live on the weekend for the AC Milan match. If you want to join a call-in show, there will be an opportunity then. And if anyone's got any final questions, big thanks to people that support the channel, as always. And so, unpopular opinion, Arsenal having a terrible transfer window. Maybe, maybe. Arsenal have a good team though, but they got Saliba injured. I think with this one that apart from Man City, who have signed maybe two of my favourite targets, I don't think lots of other teams are particularly doing amazing business. We'll have to see how it works out as well. But Randy's got that's a big prediction, Randy, saying I got feelings Xerxes is going to be good this season as well. Um, United I die not supporting Rashford, and that might be a popular opinion with some people as well. I'd say Xerxes needs to be played more consistently and in his best position. I think he'd have developed better if this happened. It's possible, Gaz, isn't it? It is possible. The only issue is I don't think I don't really know if maybe we'll see something next season because we've got more games. But if Xerxes stays, he has to play a lot more games, doesn't he? So that's why I'm thinking if Michael Carrick wanted Xerxes, wouldn't he have used Xerxes a bit more towards the end of the season just to see how he can do? I don't know. Um, if United beat Hull, Ipswich, and Everton, does that count as five in a row carryover from last season? You'd have to ask the United guy, what's his name? I don't even know his real name, but I think it does count, Stephanie, and I think he's already people have already lost interest in him, haven't they? But that's my thoughts on him. Yeah, I think it does count, Stephanie, and to be honest, there'll be someone somewhere that's trying to do something else on the same line, isn't there? Because it would be five big games in a row. Yeah, United braids, I think he is now, isn't he? As far as somebody said yesterday as well. Yeah, let's give like Xerxes his plaudits. Good goal last night. Nice finish. And I can't remember a couple of good penalties, but also good penalty saves as well. But guys, I'm going to head off. Thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We're pushing towards 1K. So if you can help share the stream, click like, subscribe if you're new, that will all help. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Just have a look out for shorts, have a look out for other videos on the channel, possibly. And let me just post something in the chat. Then, if you're on other formats, then I will. Let's see. I'll just share. I'll just share something. There is a few socials if you want to get involved. if you want to follow on different platforms. So I usually post the link, but let me just post it in. Don't know why it's taking longer than it should. So let me post that link. There's a few different socials if you want to. Like Cody runs like the Facebook group. Gaz says Xerxes needed to be played. So that comment just disappeared then. Maybe with Xerxes, maybe it's difficult. Maybe the opportunity's gone somewhat for him. But no, let me just go for that comment. For some reason, the comments just disappeared. There's too much sun here, Yarly. Like too much, too much. I will be hydrating massively. If anyone, what was your comment? I was going to answer your comment with Xerxes. I think with Xerxes, I'll just say this. I think Xerxes needs more games, clearly, but he was playing for a manager last season that didn't really think he could do a job or wasn't his best 11. Maybe, maybe we see something next season. I don't know. But if Xerxes stays, he has to play games. And if he does stay, then I think it's an indication that Man United haven't been able to move him on. I still think they want to move him on. I don't really think Xerxes wants to stay. No worries then, Gaz. Um, so we had 34 today. Seems like a blessing, says Varel. I don't know. It feels bloody hot. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go and test it outside, but it was ridiculously hot earlier today. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and share the content. If you can share the stream as well, that would be absolutely ideal. That's the best way for us to grow. And until then, guys, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one.